Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let's see what else. People. We'll go ahead and get started. There's three of you on. We'll let other people join as we go on. But hopefully you are in the right place. You should be for CNHED's VISTA Strong Communities VISTA host site info session today. We really thank you for taking time out of your schedules today to learn more about our program and having expressed interest in hosting a VISTA for our cohort next year. So we'll get started. My name is Des Stewart. I am the VISTA leader for CNHED for the 2021-2022 VISTA cohort. Who I have with me today is our Director of Advocacy and Communications, Hallie Holmes, and I also have our Program and Communications Coordinator, Raina Whitted. They also serve as the program managers and directors, and they also serve as my supervisors. So a little bit about CNHED. We are the Coalition for Nonprofit Housing and Economic Development. We are a dynamic 501c3 nonprofit that advances equitable community economic development solutions in the District of Columbia. So a little bit about AmeriCorps, a little overview. AmeriCorps VISTA is the national service program designed specifically to fight poverty. VISTA supports efforts to alleviate poverty by encouraging individuals from all walks of life to engage in a year of full-time service with a sponsoring organization to create or expand programs designed to bring individuals and communities out of poverty. The projects that you all are doing and developing in your applications, they should all be developed in accordance with the 4 core principles. 1 being an anti-poverty focus, 2 being community empowerment, 3 being sustainable solutions, and the last being capacity building. So next, some host site requirements and responsibilities that we ask of you all. You must be a nonprofit CNHED member in good standing. I know in the intent to apply, we stated that you don't have to be a member at the time you submit your application, or even right now, but before the MOU is signed, you need to be a member. Next, you must assign an on-site staff member as a supervisor. So this is someone that serves in a full-time capacity at your organization, but will also serve as a full or part-time supervisor to the VISTA. Next, your host site must provide $1,000 per month housing stipend to offset living costs in DC, and that is per month. I think it's a very important requirement that we have of our host sites, because a lot of VISTAs with the stipend that they earn wouldn't really be able to afford to live anywhere within the area. Next, your project must have or your organization must have an identified project and capacity building need that VISTA will work on. And finally, you must be able to provide professional development opportunities for the VISTA. VISTA, they provide like 2 or 3 webinars and things per month for the VISTAs, but you should be able to provide that as well. Something that isn't listed on here is that you need to be able to provide a clean and safe workspace for the VISTA at your organization, an office somewhere where they have everything they'll need, whether it's a computer, office space, everything like that. And if they're teleworking, I think you have to provide some sort of internet access as well. Next here, I'm going to get into some benefits of being a CNHED member. We just talked about that, but there's four main things. 1 is being heard. You get to participate in developing policy priorities with our working groups and committees, and connect with city officials through direct advocacy. IRS tax exempt member orgs are available to vote on CNHED governance issues as a voting member. Number 2, you get to stay informed. Members receive CNHED's weekly members only e-newsletter, the FYI, which highlights news flashes, advocacy updates, upcoming events, industry news, and more. If you are a member and you got the FYI, you saw that, we had the session in there yesterday that you are all here today for. In addition to the FYI, CNHED members also receive advocacy alerts, breaking news, grant opportunities, and other timely information and resources via email throughout the week. Third, you get connected, right? I think this is a huge thing with our membership benefits, networking opportunities with other members in the field at our monthly members meetings and larger events. both formal and informal. You gain public awareness for your organization by participating in CNHED events and panels, and you get to engage with CNHED's network by posting your organization's events and job listings on our website or in the FYI. Fourth, a big one everyone loves to do is save money. Members receive substantial discounts on all Capacity Building Institute courses, as well as some partner events. With CNHED's low dues structure, essentially the membership pays for itself with the discounts you'll get. And here's a picture of like what those dues are, based on your organization's annual budget and revenue. Not too terrible, I would say. I'll leave this up here for a few more seconds for people to look at. So some program focus areas we have for the upcoming VISTA cohort, one being economic opportunity, the other being healthy futures. Some of those focuses within those focus areas are housing and eviction prevention, employment and workforce development, and bridging the digital divide. I also think financial literacy is included in there in some aspects, but looking at healthy futures and those program focus areas, it's access to healthcare, COVID-19 contact tracing programs, food security, substance use prevention, intervention, treatment, and recovery activities to address the opioid crisis in low-income communities. So some priority populations within those program focus areas and within the VISTA realm, rural communities, Native American country, and what probably most, if not all of our projects will fall under are areas of concentrated poverty. But some additional priority considerations that AmeriCorps VISTA has added, in light of the last 2 or 3 years have been, projects that work within those focus areas and populations that will address issues of racial equality. So it's really good and really neat. Next, we're going to get into some VISTA member benefits and logistics. This is things that are relevant for the VISTA member that you'd be hosting at your host site. So AmeriCorps VISTA members serve at sponsored organizations for approximately 40 hours per week and address issues that have been locally identified as community priorities. That usually just looks like a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Sometimes that varies just depending on what you and the VISTA may work out. I've known people to do, when I was in a previous VISTA, people done like 8 to 4, or 10 to 6, things like that. But it's usually looks like a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. The project goals and activities are designed to build, sponsors' capacity to serve low-income communities. Direct service is limited for VISTAs, and they focus most of their activities on indirect work. I have that underlined and bolded there because, when you're developing your application and going through the part of the application where you're filling out your VISTA assignment description or the VAD, you don't want to get too tied up in, your VISTA doing direct service, because they really shouldn't be doing any, and if they are, to be very limited. But we'll get into a little bit later about what direct service versus indirect service looks like. So AmeriCorps does provide a modest living allowance depending on the county in which the VISTA serves. They also provide health benefits, but make a note that it's not insurance. There is some out-of-pocket cost associated with one of the plans, health benefit plans, but it is a good benefit though. And VISTAs are also eligible for childcare benefits if it applies to them. Last year, members will receive either the Siegel AmeriCorps Education Award or the End of Service Cash Stipend upon the successful completion of their full year of service. So after a year, they've done their year of service. I believe the AmeriCorps Education Award is somewhere between $6,000 and $7,000. I'm not sure on the exact number, but that can be used for things such as loans, paying for classes, paying for textbooks, paying for graduate school. And the end of service cash stipend, I think, is $1,800 to $1,900. I can't remember exactly, but that's just given to VISTAs for whatever next steps they may have. In my previous 2 years of VISTA, my first year I took the education award, and in my second year I took the cash stipend because I was moving from my previous VISTA organization to where I am now as a VISTA leader. So, but the VISTAs will choose that early on in their VISTA year, and they have essentially 10 months if they choose the education award, they'll have 10 months to decide if they want to keep the education award or change the cash stipend. But anyway, we'll go to the next slide. So this is the application checklist, things that you'll need to provide, in the application. If you haven't already, I'll go through the application in a second, but this checklist is also in the application, but it covers applicant information, application information, a narrative section looking at like the community need that your project is focusing on, your organizational capacity to host a VISTA, how are you going to leave the project or the program sustainable after. There's some performance measure things, the VAD, and then the 2 documents you'll need at the end. But I'm going to go through right here, and we'll look at this application. So MD1, can everyone see that? Okay, awesome. So it's 25 pages, but the first couple of pages, we're just asking you to read through some introduction and background info. But yeah, I'll go through this really quick. There goes that checklist again. So again, introduction info, background info that we're asking you to read through. Please do. Some very important information. Some do's and don'ts that VISTAs can do, cans and cannots. Some requirements again that we already talked about. But again, so applicant information, stuff about your organization. The host site supervisor is going to be, some finance information. And you'll scroll down, get the application information, and this is where where you'll decide on what your focus areas are going to be and those priority populations that you're trying to target. And also, this is where you'll create your opportunity listing, sort of like the job posting, essentially, for the VISTA position. Scroll down. So this is what I was talking about. The narrative section where you're talking about community need, strengthening the community, how you're going to leave the project sustainable, organizational capacity to host the VISTA, project management, recruitment and development, how are you going to recruit qualified candidates, things like that. If you are applying for a year 2 project or a year 3 project, you'll need to also do the summary accomplishments as well. Here we go to the performance measures. Scrolling through here. I think this is a great section right here. The select service activities. You'll use this to complete your VAD as well. I think it's a really good resource for helping you complete your VAD. You won't need to fill out all of these boxes right here. It's pretty straightforward, right? I have financial resources highlighted. So, if we're doing that service activity, I go over highlight financial resources, come down to find the financial resources box. And this is where you'll fill out what activities that VISTA may be doing, whether it's fundraising or developing forums, anything like that. But you wouldn't be filling out all these boxes. So that's why I say when it says 25 pages, don't be too alarmed by it, because you're not filling out every single page. We'll keep going down here, getting down to performance measures again. So with these performance measures, you have the capacity building performance measures, the economic opportunity, affordable housing, homelessness. But if these don't fit your project, you can scroll down here and create your own, which I think is really neat, because I think that really opens the door up for some interesting ways to look at a project. And lastly, some of the last 2 sections is the VAD, essentially the job description, for your VISTA project. And there's a little guidance right here and a link to, the website where you can find the resource to write a strong VAD. And then it's where you'll make sure you'll check off that you have those 2 documents as well. But yeah, that's what the application looks like. I just wanted to show people in case they haven't looked yet, because it is different from past years. I know we went through, and Hallie right now, I went through and researched and developed and created an entirely new application. So just want to make sure people could see that. So some important dates. Your applications are due December 5th, 2021 by midnight. And once they're submitted in early 2022, applicants will know if their product has been selected. So just be prepared for that, for a little waiting time. But something that's important for everyone that is applying for a VISTA, I will be opening up a virtual office so that we can have virtual office hours essentially every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 3 p.m. for application assistance. Not this Thursday because I believe we're off for Veterans Day, and then not Thanksgiving Thursday, obviously, because they're both holidays. So, but every Tuesday and Thursday throughout the month of November, and that first Thursday in December, you got me for 5 days. There's 5 days there, 10 hours, I'll just be in the room sitting. Use me. If those times don't work for you, please reach out to me and we can work out a time and schedule a different time. Or if you feel like you don't need any of that and you just want to email us, email me, that's fine too. Whatever works best, honestly. We just need to, make sure that we're getting these applications done and getting them right. So next steps, if your product is selected, so we reach back out to you in early 2022 and say, hey, you're going to get a VISTA. So the main thing is that whoever you have listed as your host site supervisor in the application, they need to make this VISTA supervisor orientation. It's mandatory for awarded applicants, and it is, receiving the VISTA project is contingent upon that person attending. But the date and link for the orientation will be provided at a later time once we know, how many VISTAs or how many people's projects have been selected. And just some logistical stuff. Your members will begin service in July of 2022 and in service July 2023. So next, so we're just gonna get some resources, before we get into this. This is the first time that Hallie, Rain, and I have been through the host site application process. So as much of a learning experience for us as it may be for some of you when you're filling out your application and stuff. So we will get you the answers that you need and that you want, but we may not have them right away. And I would probably point you to, some of these resources to look at because they're really great. And I'm just gonna go run through them again. I won't do the host site application because we just went through that, but we'll look at some other stuff as well. Give me a second here. Oh, sorry. So, you're going to want to go to cnhed.org/vista/host/. It's going to bring you here. You can look through our entire website, whether you're wondering about membership, things we have going on. But when it comes to the host site resources, you can scroll down, look through all this good VISTA stuff. If you still have questions, you can look at our current VISTA things going on. But you're going to scroll down, get to the host site resources, and there's a bunch of stuff. VISTA 101, tell you all essentially of everything VISTA that you can imagine. It's a good chunk of everything that has been talked about or anybody's wondered about VISTA. It's pretty long. It comes with a full transcript, everything. So you can see what they were talking about, but it covers everything, essentially. So that's a great resource right there. Give me 1 second. Another resource we have here. We have a video that you can look up and watch. These videos that we have listed here are really good for writing the VED. You can see I've been looking at them recently just to try to refresh myself up on how to do it myself, but it covers everything, difficulties with writing the VED, how to make language clear, what makes a VED realistic, things like that. Essentially everything that you can think of about writing a strong VED. Some more, there's a sample VED in here that you can use. It's my VED actually, that you can look at. But yeah, so again, I think it's great because we've kind of provided you with a lot of resources where you can essentially have the VAD done before you put it in the application. But yeah, you can see how that goes. The VAD's not more than 2 to 3 pages, not very long, but you can see how that is right there. 1 second. That top bar is in the way. There we go. Get back here. You know, another video about writing VADs. A great resource, I think, will be this when writing your VAD. And this is the VAD guidance and instruction sheet. As you see, it's outlined just like your VAD. Instructions are highlighted in yellow. It's pretty straightforward. It'll get you all the way through. We leave examples here for you. You know, how to write the objective of the assignment, how to write the member activities part. Another example, what I think is a great part of this right here is the tables we have outlined right here. And these are like, you know, words or verbs to be used in the objective of the assignment. It's not exclusively to be used in the objective of the assignment. You can use it in the members part as well, but you know, these are verbs that, you know, AmeriCorps and CNCS loves to see on the VAD, and it'll make it easier getting your project approved when using these words and things. But also down here, looking at, you know, examples of types of service performed by VISTAs. If you have an idea of, you know, what you want your VISTA doing, this is a great table to look at, looking at, you know, that indirect service. So again, your VISTAs wouldn't be the person going out and training community members, rather they would be the person training the trainers, right? So it gives you a great idea of those service activities or the service that you're trying to provide and the activities that are within them, and then how are you going to leave it sustainable at the end of that objective. But yeah, creating opportunity listings, another checklist right there for the VAD. This is basically a checklist, just making sure that you've said everything you need to. And again, really go through this and look at this stuff. It'll make it so much easier when it comes to us, you know, reviewing your application and VAD and things like that. And also when it gets to CNCS for approval. And again, performance measure instructions and things like that. So yeah, so those are resources. Again, it's a learning process for Hallie, Raina, and myself. So I'm going to point you to these resources. You know, obviously still ask us questions if you do have them, but these resources really do answer a lot of questions that you'll have, I'm sure. But yeah, this is the chance for people to ask questions. I'm done talking because I've done a lot of talking so far, but I'll answer your questions if anyone has them. And you can unmute yourself and ask if you, or you can use the chat.
Des, if no one has any questions right now, do you want to go back to the application, maybe a little slower and kind of talk more specifically about the sections and kind of some of the definitions and things like that?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll go through this since it is new. Again, this first part, hold on, let me share my screen, I guess. So back to the application here. Yeah, looking at this stuff. See what should we go through here? What do you think I should start at? Okay, well, we did get a question right here. Dinah asked, can you discuss common reasons people are denied? I don't know if you can speak more to that, Hallie or Raina.
So some of the common reasons people are denied, one would be simply that they're not eligible for VISTA. So CNHED has mostly nonprofit members, but also we do have for-profit members. And so sometimes we will have for-profit groups apply, and they are not eligible to receive a VISTA. Another reason is that the VAD or the proposed project is more of a staff replacement and not a capacity building service or capacity building role within the organization. And it's encouraged that VISTAs have projects that are more of a capacity building role, limited in length, which is why you'll probably hear us talk about year 1, 2, or 3 projects. VISTA projects as a whole should only be limited to 3 years. And then the project as itself should be completely different if the host site decides to reapply again for a 4th year VISTA. And so sometimes that the VAD or the project that is proposed just isn't something that's a good fit for the VISTA based on the rules and regulations from CNCS of what a VISTA can and can't do. Those are really the 2 main reasons. Other than that, I don't, we're not particularly picky. We do only allow about 10 to 12 VISTAs per year. So depending on the influx of applications that we get, we'll have to make decisions on who will receive a VISTA or who will move forward in the process, and then who will be put on alternative list in the case that somebody else drops out. Hopefully that answered your question.
Another question we got was, can organizations host more than one VISTA? An organization can host more than one VISTA, but what Hallie just spoke to was we only have slots for 10 to 12. So, if we got a lot this past year, so if there's 20 people who apply, the chances of someone getting 2 probably isn't that great, because we're trying to place one VISTA at, all those organizations.
So an immediate priority would be to place one VISTA per organization. Right now we have more than 10 to 12 open applications. So we anticipate having, to put folks on the alternative list. So we don't foresee allowing currently for the current year more than one VISTA per state. But we are also in open conversation with CNCS to get our slots increased so that we can host more. So it's dependent on actually our grant agreement with CNCS and what is allowable. But for right now, we're really focusing on the 10 to 12 number.
Another question says, are we able to share previous year's applications that were submitted from our organization? Due to staffing changes, we do not have the access. That's from Raven Willoughby.
So we unfortunately will not be able to share previous applications because this year's application is brand new. So the previous year applications were very limited, and I think only a few questions. And this year's application is a real heavy lift up front, simply because we were running into timing issues with having to develop the VADs and all the other needed materials after host sites have been approved in the past. And so having all of these materials worked on and completed upfront, meeting with Des in his office hours, making sure that everything is good to go, will help you all not only present a strong application, but help the onboarding and recruiting of the actual VISTA member go smoothly in the spring. And the previous applications did not allow for that at all. So we won't be able to share them just because they won't be helpful. They were simply just like 3 or 4 informational questions.
So then my follow-up question would be, how do we determine whether or not the project, which we deem could be continuing on from year 1, but not having that clarity, not knowing if whether or not we're applying as year 1 or year 2?
So you would know if you were applying for year 1, year 2. Do you currently have a VISTA?
No, we had one that ended before the pandemic, right in the middle of the pandemic. So last summer, the summer before last.
So what we can do is share that volunteer activity description with you from that previous VISTA. And you can look to see what the activities of that VISTA was. The applications, as I said, from previous years don't even have that information.
Yeah.
So the best thing would be to look at the VAD, and we can look that up for you. And then you can sit down with Des or me or Raina, and we can talk about, if you want to continue that work, what that would look like in a new VAD, or if you wanted to start something new, then I mean,
yeah, that probably was a more appropriate question. That's what I was really looking for, actually. So thank you for that.
Sure.
Any more questions? If not, I can roll back through this to some maybe sections that may be a little confusing. Would you say performance measures?
I think that's
It's
good.
probably, yeah. So yeah, the performance measures. This is basically just looking at, how you and your organization are going to base performance, right? So again, you're going to go through here, highlight one of these things, looking at scale and reach, right? So your organization is looking at scale and reach, whatever. So it's aiming to increase your organization's or program's ability to serve more people, new groups of people, or provide a new or expanded types of service. Maybe you're looking to, increase effectiveness. So looking to increase your organization's ability to achieve better outcomes. Efficiency, aiming to increase your organization's or program's ability to provide improved outcomes for beneficiaries with the same level of resources, or to improve or maintain consistent quality of resources. Or you're trying to leverage your resources, right? Increase your organization's or program's ability to generate additional resources or assets, such as funding, volunteers, in-kind support, and partnerships.
Yeah, and I'll say that these can you scroll back up, Des, a little bit?
Yep.
These capacity goals are related to the proposed project that you have for the VISTA, not necessarily your organization as a whole. So, if the proposed project for the VISTA is really focusing on, increasing the effectiveness of a certain program, then obviously the capacity goal would be effectiveness, even though the overall arching goal or mission of your organization may fall under one of these different buckets. It's really focused on the project that the proposed VISTA will be working on.
I guess, yeah, I talked a little bit about this. It's pretty straightforward. This is going to help you with your VAD. Whether it's financial resources, the example I had, you want your VISTA to generate fundraising or anything like that. You'll highlight one of these, go down, and as you can see, we give examples and definitions of what community assessment, what we mean by that, an environmental scan of community need, stuff like that. So again, I'll just scroll through these. Well, yeah, when you're thinking about writing the VAD and going through, think indirect service, not so much direct, because their VISTA's direct service should be limited. I think in my previous experience with, writing my own VAD, it gets kind of tricky. But that's why we have this here. Okay, so looking at quantitative performance measures, I know this one get really tricky, but again, it's like the capacity building, the capacity building and the homelessness and affordable housing things. But again, you'll say your organization for the VISTA, you want them to recruit or manage, 40 volunteers over the next year. So, you hit your target number, you'd put 40, and then you would put below that how you intend to, collect or track that data, whether it's a Google form or some software or database that you may have. Same thing if you're, tracking dollar values of cash or in-kind resources. If maybe you're serving organizations and you need to track their whether they've received capacity building services or not. So yeah, same thing for these. You'll put your target number and how are you going to track and collect that data.
And not all of these performance measures, of course, will apply to every proposed project for VISTA. So if it doesn't fit, then obviously you don't have to put a number there.
Right.
But these are national measures that are provided to us by CNCS. And so as weird as they may sound, or as weird as it may be for something for you to track, it's a lot easier for us reporting wise to report on these numbers. But of course, if there is a different performance measure or number that you are targeting for a different measurement or a different impact number, then there's also options to add your own custom performance measures. They have to be numerically based. So there is a section in reporting for narrative accomplishments, but for the specificity of this section, the impact measures and performance measures should be numbers.
Again, if any of these that we have up here don't fit or aren't relevant to your project, you can make custom ones. I don't know what has been your experience, and I guess we don't really know, but have you ever, Hallie, when it comes to custom performance measures, how has that ever gone? I don't know if you know.
We have custom performance measures now, and they're completely fine. We just need to know what they are and how you're measuring them. And we're able to input them into the system just fine to measure them. CNCS just doesn't have either then a national pool of that number. For the other performance measures, a number of affordable housing units developed or maintained, that's a number that's something that they measure across all of the programs in every state and every jurisdiction. So at the end of each grant cycle, they're able to take all of those numbers and say, nationally, we've done X, Y, Z, which they like to do. But if it's a custom performance measure, it's good for us to know, it's good for you to know, maybe not as great for CNCS to know, but that's not our priority here. We just wanna make sure that we know the VISTA is being beneficial to your organization. So that's first and foremost.
Thanks. And again, we're just looking at the VAD. This is essentially the entire year outline job description for your VISTA that'll be at your organization. Again, we have those resources, those videos, and those checklists on our website for that. But a VAD, just a bit VISTA assignment description, you call it VISTA job description. It just states has the overall goal of the project, also the objectives that they'll be doing, and the activities that they'll need to get done. Looking back on that checklist I talked about before, right? You would come down to, I don't think I'm on this, but you'd fill out the entire goal of the project, whether, I don't know, your organization may be looking to increase, clients, trying to gain, workforce development training or something like that. Down here, you put that as a goal, coming into the objectives, how is that VISTA going to get that done, right? So if they're looking to increase, clients or something like that, maybe recruiting volunteers to recruit people, or it may be developing forms to, Google Forms, or maybe developing or creating a marketing strategy to, get new clients and things like that. But that'll all go in the effective and member activities section down here. But lastly, just make sure also, I know in my past experience, I was at a university before, so it was kind of hard getting the president of a large university to get the letter of support, but sometimes these things take a little while. So just make sure you're getting these two documents as well, or we can't submit the application. And again, you can find our contact info here at the bottom as well. I don't know, are there any more questions that anyone has? I don't know, anything else? I think I should go through Hallie.
I have one question. This is Janelle calling from Wacus. We do currently have a VISTA. I know you guys were discussing year 2, year 3. So if we have a VISTA that we currently have that we don't think that she'll be able to complete everything within the 1 year that she has just because of the scope of her VAD. How, if we want her to continue into year 2, how does that work? Do we just present the same VAD and said, okay, this is what she's done and this is what we would like for her to continue to do? How does it work for the multiple years?
Yes, that is correct. You would readjust the VAD based on the continued work that still needs to be done, outside the scope of her current VAD that she wasn't able to accomplish. And then, when we get to the recruitment period, if you choose to, or if the VISTA choose to extend her service an additional year, then you wouldn't need to go through the recruitment process. You would just we would just be able to note that she's extending her service another year. Alternatively, if she does not want to stay, you can still recruit for a new VISTA to take over the work that where she dropped off. But as long as, especially in the year 1, 2, 3, as long as it's kind of a progression of work and it's not just constantly the same exact work, then it should be fine.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Any other questions from the group? No. I don't think so. Anything else you think?
Yeah, I have a question in regards to the letter of support from president or executive director to looking at the organization. I do know that there's another individual from our organization, but like we have a parent organization, and then the sector that I work for is like the affiliate, and so then there's like a lot of layers of presidents, and so I'm just trying to understand at which level would you need that particular letter of support from?
I don't know. I don't know that there is a particular level if you're an affiliate. I think the leadership of the specific
division,
yes,
yeah.
Would be just fine.
Yeah, okay. And then the letter of support too, just so I'm clear, because I'm new to this process, that is in support of the VISTA and the project that's been proposed, or what is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that would be in support of the VISTA, adding perhaps how assistance in this project would help build capacity for the organization.
Okay.
If there's no more questions, I definitely don't want to hold everyone captive for the next 15 minutes staring at each other's names on screens. But in our application, there is our contact information if you have any additional questions. Raven, we can follow up with you separately about the past VAD so that you can reference that to develop your new application. And if there's no other questions, then I'll let Des, you can close out with whatever you had planned.
Yeah, just I'll send a link for the virtual office to everyone here soon, if not this afternoon or early tomorrow. And yeah, I'll send out that link, and also I'll be sending this recording to everyone as well, so be on the lookout for that. But that's it. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for taking time out of your day to be here. We'll be awaiting any assistance you may need, or waiting to submit your application. So everyone have a great day.